low resistance, distributive, or the vasogenic shock. So the low resistance shock occurs because of the excessive vasodilatation within the vascular system. And this excessive vasodilatation occurs because of either the neural reflexes or the release of the toxic substances. Now, because of the vasodilatation, the size of the capacitance vessel is increased, and because of the increase in the size of the capacitance vessel, it decreases the circulating blood volume and cardiac output is decreased because of the decrease in the venous return. So, cardiac output is decreased in spite of the normal blood volume. Now, low resistance shock, it is also called warm shock because skin is warm because of the vasodilatation. In the hypovolemic shock, if you remember, it is known as cold shock because of the vasoconstriction and decrease in the blood supply. But the vasogenic shock, it is known as warm shock because of the vasodilatation and increase in the blood flow to the skin. Low resistance shock occurs because of the neural reflexes as well as release of various chemical substances which produces vasodilatation. That's why it is known as low resistance shock. Whenever the low resistance shock occurs because of the neural reflexes and dilatation of the vessel, it is known as neurogenic shock. Release of the histamine which produces vasodilatation, it is known as anaphylactic shock. And release of endotoxin from the bacterial products which produces damage to the vessels and the vasodilatation, it is known as septic shock. Neurogenic shock. Neurogenic shock occurs because of the two types of the neural reflexes. First is the reduction in the sympathetic vasomotor tone. Sympathetic vasomotor tone is the tonic discharge from the vasomotor areas. Now vasomotor area, they regulate vasoconstrictor tone in the vessels. So whenever sympathetic vasomotor tone decreases, it leads to relative dilatation of the vessels, and dilatation of the vessel, they accommodate more amount of the blood which decreases the venous return as well as the cardiac output. Second is the pronounced increased in the vagal tone. Vagal tone, it controls heart rate, and whenever vagal tone increases, it decreases heart rate as well as the cardiac output. Pronounced increase in the vagal tone occurs in the vasovagal syncope, which occurs in the emotional fainting. So both this factor, decrease in the sympathetic vasomotor tone and increase in the vagal tone, it produces vasodilatation, decrease in the venous return and decrease in the cardiac output, and it leads to decrease in the blood flow to the cerebral cortex, which leads to transient loss of the consciousness, which is known as syncope. Causes of neurogenic shock, they are deep general anesthesia, spinal anesthesia, and in the brain damage. Deep general anesthesia, it depresses the vasomotor center, and because of the depression of the vasomotor center, vasoconstrictor tone to the blood vessel decreases, and it leads to vasodilatation and the neurogenic shock. Spinal anesthesia, it blocks the sympathetic neural outflow to the blood vessels, which produces vasodilatation and the neurogenic shock. In many patients with the brain damage, it produces decrease in the blood flow to the vasomotor area, and it depresses the vasomotor centers, and it is also a reason for the neurogenic shock. Second is anaphylactic shock or the histamine shock. It is a rapidly developing severe allergic reaction. So this is an allergic condition in which cardiac output and blood pressure, it decreases drastically. Now whenever person is exposed to the allergen or the antigen prior to the anaphylactic shock, he develops antibodies, and these reagent antibodies, they settle with the Fc segment on the mast cells. Now when he is exposed to the same allergen again, then it develops a severe allergic reaction or hypersensitivity reaction type 1, which leads to degranulation of the mast cells and the basophil, which releases histamine and the histamine like substances, which produces anaphylactic shock. Now anaphylactic shock, it is produced because of various effects of histamine. Histamine produces dilatation of the arterioles, veins, And because of the dilatation of the arterioles and the vein, it decreases the peripheral resistance. It increases the permeability of the vessels, and because of the increase in the permeability of the vessels, it decreases the circulating fluid volume. And because of both this reason, it decreases the blood supply, oxygen supply and the nutrients to the tissue, and this is known as anaphylactic shock. Now the third type of the low resistant or the distributive shock is the septic shock. Septic shock occurs because of the sepsis or the bacterial infection. So shock which is produced by endotoxin released by the gram-negative bacteria, it is known as septic shock. Now this endotoxin they produce shock because of their following effects. Mark vasodilatation, which reduces the peripheral resistance. Now the endotoxin they directly depress the myocardial contractility, and because of the decrease in the myocardial contractility, it decreases the cardiac output. Endotoxin they also increase capillary permeability, and because of the capillary permeability, more amount of the fluid it enters in the interstitial space. So effective circulating fluid volume it decreases. So all these factors together decreases the cardiac output, decreases blood pressure, and decreases the tissue perfusion, and this is known as septic shock. So neurogenic shock, anaphylactic shock, and the septic shock. These are the low resistance or the distributive type of the shock. Neurogenic shock occurs because of the dilatation of blood vessels. Anaphylactic shock occurs because of the dilatation of the vessel and the increase in the capillary permeability. Septic shock, it causes dilatation of the vessels, increase in the capillary permeability, and it also produces direct depression of the heart. So in this manner, it decreases the peripheral resistance, and that's why all these three type of the shock, they are known as low resistance shock, and they distribute more amount of the fluid volume in the interstitial tissue spaces. So less amount of the fluid it is present in the systemic circulation. Cardiogenic shock. Cardiogenic shock occurs because of the cardiac abnormality, and this cardiac abnormality it leads to decrease in the cardiac output because of the decrease in the myocardial contractility and the pumping ability of the heart. Decrease in the cardiac output decreases tissue perfusion and it leads to shock. Cardiogenic shock, it is also known as congested shock, because whenever cardiogenic shock occurs because of the cardiac abnormality, it decreases cardiac output and it increases central venous pressure. Increase in the central venous pressure, it produces congestion of the viscera and congestion inside the lungs. So because of the congestion in the lung, liver and other viscera, cardiogenic shock, it is known as congested shock. Causes of the cardiogenic shock. These are the underlying cardiac abnormality like myocardial infarction, cardiac arrhythmias, congestive cardiac failure, and severe valvular dysfunctions. These are all the causes for the cardiac abnormality that leads to decrease in the cardiac output and the cardiogenic shock. Obstructive shock. As the name suggests, this is the shock because of the obstruction to the cardiac output. So it occurs when the cardiac output is decreased as a result of mechanical obstruction of left and right ventricular filling. Various causes of the obstructive shock, they are tension pneumothorax. So whenever pneumothorax occurs, it increases air inside the pleura, which leads to compression over the heart, which decreases the ventricular filling and obstructive shock. Massive pulmonary emboli, they also produces obstructive shock. In the pericardial effusion, fluid collects inside the pericardial cavity, which limits the movement of the heart and it decreases the ventricular filling, which leads to shock, and it occurs because of the obstruction to the cardiac output. That's why it is known as obstructive shock. Now let's understand about the treatment of the shock. Now treatment of different type of the shock, they are different. Now shock occurs because of the loss of the fluid volume, loss of the blood volume, that is known as circulatory shock. Shock occurs because of the vasodilatation, and decrease in the vasomotor output, that is known as neurogenic shock. Shock occurs because of the vasodilatation and increase in the permeability. It occurs in the anaphylactic shock as well as the septic shock. Shock occurs whenever cardiac damage occurs, then it is known as cardiogenic shock, and whenever obstruction to the cardiac output is there, then it is known as obstructive shock. So all the different type of the shocks, they are treated depending on the underlying cause. Now first of all, the general measures in the treatment. First, the patient should be kept at the room temperature. Circulatory shock, it is known as cold shock because extremities they are cold because of the vasoconstriction. Anaphylactic shock, vasogenic shock, as well as the septic shock, they are the warm shock. So periphery they feel warm because of the vasodilatation and increase in the blood flow. But the patient he should be kept at the room temperature, and exposure to the excessive warmth it should be prevented even if the extremities they are cold, because whenever this patient is exposed to the warmth, then it leads to vasodilatation, and vasodilatation further decreases the circulating fluid volume, which aggravates the shock and it deteriorates the condition of the patient. So patient should be kept at the room temperature. Second is the raising the foot end of the patient, because the main underlying abnormality in the shock is the decrease in the cardiac output, decrease in the tissue perfusion. So whenever foot end of the patient it is raised, then it increases the venous return, and increase in the venous return increases the cardiac output. Increase in the cardiac output, it increases the tissue perfusion. So raising the foot end of the patient, it is helpful in the patient with the hypovolemia as well as in the neurogenic shock. Fluid replacement therapy, it is helpful in the patient with the circulatory shock. Now circulatory shock occurs because of the loss of the blood as well as loss of the fluid volume. So in hemorrhagic shock, which occurs because of the loss of the blood, then the best therapy is the transfusion of the whole blood, which increases the tissue perfusion. In the patient with the burns, plasma is lost. So plasma infusion is more appropriate treatment. And in the hypovolemic shock, because of the diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration occurs. So intravenous infusion of ringer lactate solution, it is more helpful to increase tissue perfusion. Sympathomimetic drugs, they are also useful as a drug of choice in the shock. Now always remember that sympathomimetic drugs, they are not useful in the hypovolemic as well as the hemorrhagic shock, but the sympathomimetic drugs, they are useful in the neurogenic shock and in the anaphylactic shock. Now sympathomimetic drugs, they are not useful in the hypovolemic as well as hemorrhagic shock because the underlying abnormality in the hypovolemic and the hemorrhagic shock is the loss of the fluid volume. So sympathomimetic drugs, they are of least use. But in the neurogenic shock and the anaphylactic shock, the underlying abnormality it lies in the vasodilatation, and because of the vasodilatation it accommodates more blood inside the vessels. So whenever sympathomimetic drugs they are given, then it produces vasoconstriction, increase in the heart rate and increase in the cardiac output, which maintains the tissue perfusion. And that's why sympathomimetic drugs, they are drug of choice in the neurogenic shock and in the anaphylactic shock. Glucocorticoids, they are also useful in the shock because they increase the strength of the heart. But glucocorticoids, they are mainly used in the last stages of the shock. Glucocorticoid also stabilizes the lysosomal membrane and it prevents cellular damage. So glucocorticoids, they are also helpful in the shock, but it is mainly used in the last stages of the shock. Now let's solve some MCQs. First MCQ, loss of 10% of the total blood volume over the period of 20 minutes it causes. Now look at all the options and try to solve the MCQ. You can also pause the screen anytime. So the answer is normal blood pressure and the normal venous pressure, because loss of 10% of the total blood volume it is well tolerated, and 10 to 15% of the loss of the blood volume, it activates all the compensatory mechanisms. So blood pressure as well as the venous pressure, it remains normal whenever blood volume up to 10% it is lost. Second MCQ, shock is more profound in the patient with the elevated temperature because, so the answer is cutaneous vasodilatation. So whenever temperature is elevated, it produces cutaneous vasodilatation, and because of the cutaneous vasodilatation, it further decreases the cardiac output. So shock is more profound in the patient with the elevated temperature because of the cutaneous vasodilatation. Which of the following do not occur in the anaphylactic shock? And the answer is high fever. High fever, it occurs in the septic shock. In the anaphylactic shock, venous dilatation, arterial dilatation occurs because of the histamine, and capillary permeability increases. In hemorrhagic shock, one would expect decrease in all except. So, which of the following increases? So, now look at all the options, and the answer is chemoreceptor activity. So, in the hemorrhagic shock, coronary blood flow it decreases, cardiac output decreases, oxygen utilization by the tissue decreases because of the decrease in the blood flow. But the chemoreceptor activity increases because chemoreceptor they are sensitive to change in the oxygen carbon dioxide as well as the hydrogen ion concentration. So whenever hemorrhagic shock occurs, then it decreases the blood flow to the chemoreceptor. Blood flow to the chemoreceptor it is highest. So whenever it decreases, then it decreases the oxygen supply, increases the carbon dioxide production as well as the increase in the H plus ion in the chemoreceptor, which increases the chemoreceptor activity, and chemoreceptor they increases sympathetic output, increases the respiratory rate, heart rate and the cardiac output. Hypovolemic shock is characterized by all of the following except. So in the hypovolemic shock, which does not occur? Now look at all the options, and the answer is inhibition of respiration. So in the hypovolemic shock, hypotension occurs. Because of the vasoconstriction, cold skin occurs. Decrease in the circulating fluid volume, it stimulates osmoreceptor in the hypothalamus, so intense thirst occurs. And respiration, it is stimulated because of the increase in the chemoreceptor activity, so respiration it is stimulated. So the answer is D.